Hey, Chandler. Just want to make sure you're good to go.
Hey, Amy, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, good deal.
Just so you know, you're not in presenter. The slides are like in preview. We see all the slides on the left and the new slide, just so you know.
Yep, I once I switch over, I was gonna go
Okay.
full screen because it kind of cuts me out of the option to see
You
like
can upload your slides if that's easier.
once I here in a minute, I'll just switch back over and make it full screen. And probably just to test, assuming it's full screen now.
Not yet, but it might be a delay.
Okay.
Nope. Still the same.
Still no. Okay. Interesting. All right. So weird.
I know that we had this issue with another session, and oh, there you go.
Is that okay if I just do it like that, or?
What if you can just scroll? Yep, that works.
Okay, perfect.
All right, it's 2:25, so you can get started. I'll be here in the background.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Amy.
You're
All
welcome.
right. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chandler Watts, and I am here on behalf of AvidXchange. We are thrilled to be a part of yet another acuCONNECT. And here we're going to talk a little bit about AP and the guide to payment automation inside of AP, and mainly how innovation today can improve the speed and security of your transactions inside accounts payable. So again, my name is Chandler Watts. I'm an alliance manager here. So I have the responsibility of maintaining the relationships we have with not only Acumatica as a whole, but Acumatica resellers. And quickly before we dive in, just a little bit about AvidXchange. So we are a company based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We were founded in the year 2000. We've got about 9,000 customers today. And then inside of our vendor network, we've got over 1 million different vendors and suppliers that are currently being paid by AvidXchange. And we can pay those folks in three different methods up to their decision, which is going to be a check, enhanced version of ACH, which is Avid Pay Direct Deposit, as well as a virtual credit card. So, and I've been in this role for about 2 years. I'm based out of Charleston, South Carolina, so not too far from Charlotte, and get up there a decent bit. So. We're going to go ahead and dive into it. A quick overview of the agenda. So, we're going to touch on parting ways with paper, what the dash for digital looks like, the rise of real time payments, and then how to actually evaluate your electronic payment technologies today. So, first off, parting ways with paper. So I think the first thing that comes to anybody's mind when we talk about paper is going to be checks. And check fraud is higher than it has currently ever been. So the U.S. Treasury Department has reported a 385% increase in check fraud since the pandemic. It is something we hear about 24/7. So, what do you do about check fraud? Do you have people following up the checks? Tell me how your checks are secure. So, when AvidXchange cuts a check, it's actually going to be on our paper with a different routing and accounting number than somebody from a customer. So lots of people are nervous about sending their own checks out. It wouldn't really be their own check. We send out checks from a clearing account, which would then debit the funds from the customer's account. And then if that check has not been cashed. We have folks that follow up on it 10 days, 20 days, and then 30 days as well. So checking to see if it got lost in the mail and also trying to find out if somebody hasn't deposited that check, what the holdup may be. So again, 76% of organizations experienced payment fraud in just the past year, and checks accounted for the largest share of related financial loss, ranging from $50,000 to over $1 million. So, a quick chart on the percentage of B2B payments that are made by check today. And as you can see, we have quite a trend. 20 years ago, majority of folks were making payments by check. And up to 10 years ago, we finally got down to that halfway mark. And then today, we are finally, majority of payments are going to be electronic version of payment method. So that's going to bring us into the dash for digital. Now, here's a little kind of impact on the speed of the actual payment. So 80% of financial professionals in the US and Canada believe that faster payments will have a positive or very positive impact on organizations. Now, obviously, that means that just another small percentage do not believe that this would, or believe that it would have a negative impact. And this is what we're in the business of doing. We want to speed up these payments along with making them more secure, and in return have a positive impact on your organization as well as the suppliers you work with. I think every other Friday or once a month or however you get paid, I know people want that amount to be correct. They want it to be on time, and they want it to be secure. That typically has a positive impact on not only my team members but definitely myself as well. So um, again, here's another chart on some payment methods that are most often used by suppliers and vendors in 2023. So the top are going to be real-time payments and credit cards. And then coming in third, obviously, ACH, right? That is something that's almost become an industry standard. Lots of people are still doing wire transfers, especially for international payments. Then we have some digital wallets, a small amount of check, virtual card, which is certainly on the rise, and then FedNow and a small amount of other types of payments. Now, touching on everybody's favorite topic in this ecosystem, artificial intelligence. So, we're going to talk a little bit about how AI can revolutionize the process of your accounts payable. So, um, invoice entry and verification. This is something that we leverage with our invoice tool, right? So, we actually have AI and OCR that are actually going to be scanning that invoice and automate the entire entry process. And because we have a team of human indexers that actually go back over this, our accuracy rate is actually over 99%. So technically, I think it's 99.2% accuracy when it comes to invoice entry. PO matching as well. So AI can validate, the invoices against the purchase orders and different line item capture as well. And those are things that those are going to produce sales receipts without any type of human intervention. And then a workflow. So an AI-driven workflow is something that's going to route invoices based on the style of their approval, and we're going to use you can have predefined rules in that process, but we're also going to utilize machine learning. A little more about AI and accounts payable. So, anomaly detection. AI can help detect fraudulent invoices as well as different types of payment data. So, example would be we're working with this one supplier. They typically send us checks between $5,000 and $10,000. If for some reason we get a check or an invoice for $5 or for $500,000, AI is going to pick up on that and just say, hey, this is something that we don't typically see. Have a little flag by it and make sure that it gets in front of the appropriate resources. As well as reporting analytics. So obviously, AI can generate pretty much any type of report and visualize that into any type of dashboard, and that's something that I know makes my job easier from a day-to-day perspective. Absolutely. So it does provide a clear view of your accounts payable performance, which in return can help you make data-driven decisions. Now, last but not least, buyer savings. So there is an algorithm that can analyze contract terms and then offer suggestions as far as notifications for timings and certain ways to capture discounts for suppliers. Now, the state of AI in finance departments. So these are just a few stats that we did from a survey a little over a year ago. So 72% of folks in organizations are currently using AI technology inside of their finance department. Now, 60% of finance professionals say they are very comfortable with working with AI. And then 67% of finance professionals are saying that they are currently using AI in their department for customer service. All right, moving on, we're going to talk about the rise of real-time payments. Here are some popular electronic payment methods that are around today. So obviously, I think everybody's favorite is going to be credit card, right? So that allows the actual payer to borrow the funds that are then paid back. Interest is applicable over time. Now, debit card, that money is going to be directly deducted from the payer's checking account. A virtual credit card is going to function just like a physical credit card, but we generate different card numbers and expiration dates that's going to limit fraud risk. Online banking is going to enable online transactions via direct from that payer's banking platform, and then EFT. So these are funds that are electronically transferred from directly from the bank account of the payer over to the person that they're going to be paying. Wrapping up some electronic payment methods. Again, we touched on this ACH. So that's going to be basically electronic check, right? So that's going to move money back and forth in between bank accounts in batches. Wire transfers are going to be electronic transfers between different financial institutions. Real-time payments are, from the clearinghouse, and then FedNow is from the Federal Reserve. These are examples of platforms that allow for instant transactions between businesses. Mobile wallet. This is something like Apple Pay, or Venmo. I'm up in New York City right now for a conference, and I can't tell you how easy it is to use Apple Pay when I'm, running down to a train instead of having to buy the Metro card and load money onto that. And then contactless payment. So this is where you're going to tap your card, whether you're at the gas station or you run inside to grab a Gatorade or something. You can be in a hurry or use your smartphone and just tap it on there and right by the payment terminal. So real-time payments, this is the power of instant transactions here. So 49% of organizations are using real-time payments to pay suppliers in 2023. And 21% of organizations use real-time payments most often when they are paying suppliers. And 81% of survey respondents have noticed an increase in demand for real-time payments to suppliers. So probably a year or 2 years ago, even these 49 and 21% numbers were simply a fraction of what they are today. So it is something where demand is increasing. So here are a couple charts on how institutions are participating in the FedNow service network. So over of the 9,000 eligible federally insured financial institutions in the U.S. In July, there were about 35 using this of last summer, and in January of this year, there were 400 institutions participating. And then come May of this year, there were 758. So obviously, trending in the right direction of folks that are participating in the FedNow service network. AI's impact on electronic payments. So AI is enhancing the electronic payment method by enabling features mainly around fraud detection and predictive analytics. So leveraging AI with electronic payment methods can streamline the payment process and supports a highly efficient electronic ecosystem for financial institutions. And our B2B payment security survey found that only 5% of AP departments are currently using AI-driven excuse me, anomaly detection to help mitigate the risk of payment fraud. And obviously, we're thinking that adoption is likely to grow. So, how to evaluate your electronic payment technologies? First things first is going to be supplier setup, right? So you're going to want to use a technology provider with a positive positive track record in supplier service and support. Then we're going to want to know about the e-conversion rate. So, at what rate are we actually, changing these folks over from a paper check to, understand the advantages of, e-payments inside their adoption. So, there's typically some rebates around those as well, especially with AvidXchange. So, and then automating payments, streamlines all financial operations. And this is going to offer your business a chance to obviously improve efficiency and accuracy, and then the experience. So you're going to want to choose an electronic payment provider with expertise in the B2B payment space. The benefits of electronic payments, um, ROI, efficiency, having control over what those payments look like, and most importantly, security. So a little bit to kind of wrap up, we're going to talk about AP automation with AvidXchange. Now, this is typically what the AP process looks like before somebody would use a solution like Avid. So someone's going to receive an invoice, they're going to open an email, they're going to have to route that invoice somewhere where then it's going to have to be coded. Once it's coded to the proper workflow, somebody's going to have to go and approve it. Once it's approved, somebody's going to then have to enter it into their ERP. Then they're going to have to go inside and select that approved invoice. Then they're going to have to print a check. Then somebody's going to have to follow up on that check. Once that check has been deposited or cleared, they're going to have to reconcile with their bank. Then their bank is going to have to file it back to their ERP. And then there's going to have to be some type of research on, what might have went wrong or what we can do to improve this process. So, a fairly tedious process here. Now, with AvidXchange, we automate majority of this, right? So what we do is actually code that invoice for approval. So we're going to handle the invoice digestion. We're going to route it, and then you're going to, upon implementation, we're going to find out how to code these and then send them over to approval. So once that's approved, then all they have to do is actually select that approved invoice because we're going to handle the way it goes into your ERP. We're going to cut the check for you. We have a team of about 600 people in our supplier network that are going to follow up on that check. Then we're going to send that money back to your ERP and handle the bank reconciliation. We're going to file it back, and then we're going to be using AI as well as human indexers to figure out how to improve this process. Now, here's a little bit of what the Avid invoice process is going to look like, right? So, we're a full service end-to-end AP program here, so we can collect that invoice, whether it's paper, email, or something urgent that's going to be a direct upload. We're going to send that information into your ERP. In this case, it's going to be acumatica, and then from Acumatica, we have a direct integration into AvidPay, where we're going to be able to offer the supplier these three ways of selecting payment, right? So we do give the supplier the power to choose how they want to get paid. The standard method of payment is going to be a check. But for electronic payments, we offer virtual credit card and AvidPay Direct, and those two electronic payments are going to be eligible for rebate. Now, a little bit of AvidPay overview. So, again, payments are generated inside your ERP. Once that moves out of your ERP, we collect that payment data and it moves into AvidPay, and that's where the process is actually going to begin. So, you will have control over these payments. You'll be able to route, where you would like them to go through your customized workflow. Then, once we do use a clearing account. So once we pay out of our clearing account, and once we see that money is available in the customer's account, it's debited from that bank account and then used for approved payments. As I mentioned, here are the three methods that we can pay your supplier, and then it's an ongoing process here. So again, I touched on the 600 people that are going to be in that supplier network. They actually onboard and maintain the relationship with your supplier. So we typically see about 30 to 40% of folks that somebody's working with is already getting paid by AvidXchange. Now, if they're not already in our supplier network, we will onboard that supplier and then maintain the relationship with them. So overall, increasing your efficiency, we're going to do, what everybody wants to do when they buy a third-party software, right? We're going to reduce your costs and increase efficiency. And within that, we're also going to improve visibility into your invoices and your payments. You're going to have more control over your workflows in your process as a whole. You're going to be able to scale seamlessly while making more payments and digesting more invoices, and you're going to reduce your financial risk with our e-payment options. So that is all I've got for today. I think there's a chat for some Q&A. So if anybody has any questions off the top of their head, feel free to post them in there. And if not, I believe my information is available. And would love to connect, follow up, answer any questions you may have.
There is one question. For the virtual credit card, would we give you a credit card to use in the back?
No, so we actually have a partnership with MasterCard. So we would just be generating a one-time use from AvidXchange. Now, once those funds were approved from the customer's bank account, we would pull those funds to make that payment. But there would be it's our own Mastercard program, so nobody would have to give us, their, let's say they're using a credit card through their bank, they wouldn't have to do that.
Great question, Elaine. Any other questions? Have you seen any pushback from suppliers?
No, so the only pushback we typically get is going to be somebody that's like in the sales process, right? So suppliers love working with us, and that's why there's 1.3 million suppliers that are currently getting paid by AvidXchange right now. And like I said, we've got over 600 people that work in